What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm J and we are locked in. This is the recap for Power Book 4 Force Episode 2. Man, I must say, this episode was an 8 in my book, and Power is going in the right direction with this. I'm going to go ahead and start considering Power Book 4 Force the adult version of Power because, you know, it has a different type of feel, and this is giving us more of that serious, hey, this should be on the big platforms. HBO, we winking at you right now. Wink, wink. Now, before we jump into this and we recap this episode 2 of Power Book 4 Force, if you like power content, breakdowns, theories, and predictions, live after show discussions, make sure you tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, live after show discussion. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. I'm on that road to 50,000 subscribers, so I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you hit that like button if you don't see this at 100 likes. Now, this week is crazy because we got a lot of action and we have a connection back to New York because they mentioned one of the old characters. So let's jump into it. This is the recap of episode 2, book 4, Force. Starting off episode 2 is right where we left in episode 1 with the body of Chewie. Now Chewie is here and we get introduced to DeFranco. He's the police officer on duty, the detective. Now no one's talking. They have a code here and it's called no snitching. But there's a man playing a saxophone, and for the right amount of money, DeFranco was getting some answers. He found out that Chewie was a pancake, meaning he flipped sides. He went from CBI up under Diamond to treason. So that might be one of the reasons why he was killed. So DeFranco has hit the ground running, trying to figure things out. Tommy comes to talk to Jenard and let him know he handled the Chewie situation, aka he called a body. Well, when he says that, Diamond is down here catching the body, if you know what I mean. But Tommy tells him, listen, I handled everything that needed to be taken care of. And Diamond is upset because he has a PO officer that is breathing down his neck and he can't do anything. Now Tommy, he's looking at it like, I got rid of Chewie, let's start getting this money. Let's figure out how we can get back in these streets and make it happen. But Tommy doesn't realize he's drawing a lot of attention to himself and to CBI. Jenard meets back up with Team Treason and lets them know that Chewie is killed and they're not sure who it is. Now his homeboys, Little K, they're telling him, listen, if your brother Diamond did this, we need to get some get back. But Jenard says it wasn't his brother that did this and his brother wouldn't do anything like this. It had to be Tommy Egan. Now the young boys, they're saying that they want to go get Tommy, and Jenard is like, not right now. Let's figure it out. Let's try to get this money. So he picks up a chopper and lets them know he's not afraid of Tommy Egan, but at this moment, we can't go after him because we need to figure out how we're going to pay back the cartel and Mirkovich. Vic is going through it this episode, and this whole season is really him against his family, against the streets. Now, he's been out here drinking. He's at Gloria's gravesite, and he's just thinking about all the good times and the bad times. Now Tommy pulls up on him and he's basically offering him a job and telling him to come get with CBI because the Flynn family, they don't have anything going on. Now what he really wants to know is who pulled the trigger on Liliana because he still wants to go seek revenge. Now, Vic doesn't know anything and he's saying he doesn't know anything. But when Tommy walks off, he asks him, hey, did you mess up Dahlia? And Tommy says, no, but when I find out who did it, I'll let you know. Because until Tommy gets some information, he's not going to give any information. Walter and Paulie are still trying to figure out how to put the Flynn family back on the map. Now we know he has an issue back in Dublin. Brendan Doyle is here. Yeah, that means they're not playing around and he needs to come up with some money. Now they have some pills that they're offering Walter and it's a new deal for him to potentially make some money in the streets. Now the only issue is these pills, when they were made, they're a little bit too strong. So it's going to be up to Walter and Paulie to figure out how they can successfully put this back in the streets without catching any bodies from people ODing on their drugs. Because with this expansion, this is a little bit out of their field. Claudia is messing with Brendan Doyle and he's basically telling her, listen, if things don't go as planned, then that means the whole Flynn family will be marked off the map. I'm talking about erased, no longer around. In Dublin, they have that kind of power. So when she hears this, this kind of makes her start thinking, how can we get the family back in order? Because if not, man, we're going to crumble down to Dublin. Over at the barbershop, parole officer Tyrone Reed pops up for one of the random urinalysis tests that he's trying to pull on Diamond. Now Diamond is sitting here and he's like, damn, he doesn't want to do this, but he has to do it. Tyrone Reeves is not playing around. Tommy comes in and he's talking about they need to meet up with the cartel, but Diamond is telling him, chill, get your gun, get out of here, because this is my PO officer. I'm not going to be able to go with you on this little mission that you have. Tyrone Reeves, he has a microscope on Diamond and he's not letting up anytime soon. Tommy goes to meet up with McDowell and do a little business exchange, make some money, you know, the color green. But when they're outside, we hear one of the gentlemen mention Julio up in New York. Yeah, you remember Julio who set up Dre, who ended up getting killed? There's a connection to New York because McDowell says he has eyes and ears everywhere. Once they have this little dialogue, a SUV pulls up, and when this truck pulls up, they start unloading a ton of ammo. I'm talking bullets everywhere. Everyone's jumping, people are dying, bodies are dropping, and I said, man, what are they doing here? Well, let me tell you, they're not playing around. They are spraying, bodies are dropping left and right. Oh my goodness, we were not prepared for this war. Tommy's catching a couple bodies, and out of nowhere, Tommy gets hit. Tommy Egan is down, he is shot. Luckily for Tommy, he has some time to heal because we find out that the Super Troopers, aka Stacy, Marks, and the feds, they are not authorized to get a task force. Now, the reason they can't get this task force is because CPD, Chicago Police Department, doesn't really mess with Stacy Marks like that. So at this moment, we're starting to gather all the information, but the Super Troopers can't put this puzzle together because they don't have the authorization. While Tommy is shot, they bring him in the house, and Miriam, Miguel's little sister, she's helping him out. Now, while she's helping him out, stitching him up and getting the bullet out of him, back on the other side, Tommy's actually listening to everything that Miguel and his goons are talking about. Now on the 290 at 2 p.m., they have a drop. Now Tommy's handling business and he's trying to flirt with Mireya, and he's telling her eyes are so beautiful. But she's telling him that it's very dangerous in Chicago, and Tommy, you need to watch where you step because this isn't New York. After Tommy gets stitched up, we run into Miguel's grandmother. Now she's really the one calling the shots, and you have to remember Miguel is just the middleman for the Estrada cartel. Now she's telling Miguel not to trust the gringo, aka Tommy, and Miguel is saying he will gut him before he lets Tommy cross him. Also, she wants him to go talk to Chi Estrada to see what's the next move, and once he goes and meet with him in the club, he's telling him to fall back and do everything he tells him to do, or he's going to take Mireya and basically erase her off the map. So right now we're seeing that the cartel, they're kind of trying to figure things out also because there's a lot of moving pieces, and right now Miguel, the people that work up under him, Jenard, they're behind on payments. Vic is on the verge of losing it. He was talking to his dad. His dad was basically telling him to man up, just like his sister told him to man up, and Vic doesn't want to hear any of it. He goes down to the local corner store, grabs a drink. A lady comes up to him. They go in the back. Store owner saying, "Hey, what are you doing back here, dirty, nasty man?" Vic robs the place. Broad daylight. Well, it's nighttime, but broad daylight. He robs the place. Gives the girl $50, and the store owner calls the police on Vic. And later that night, the police end up pulling him over because he's driving drunk and he robbed a liquor store. Now, when he gets out, he tells the police he's Victor Flynn and they're probably on his family's payroll. Well, the black cop wasn't trying to hear that, and he administered the taser, center mass on Vic, and they went ahead and arrested him. Jenard does some things that makes you go, kind of makes you wonder. Well, Mirkovic shows up, and remember, he wants his territory back that Jenard promised him. Now, to hold him over, Jenard gives him some money. But remember, he owes Miguel and the cartel some money. So Mirkovic is saying, you need to start figuring this out, or we're going to have some problems. So he gives him the money that he's supposed to pay Miguel. And then his boy lets him know, hey, dog, that money's supposed to be for Miguel. But Jenard, he has to do something at this point. He has to fight back any way he can. And he's buying himself some time, literally. Vic gets bailed out of jail by his dad, and his dad is telling him to come work for him. Now, you remember Dahlia is off the streets. He already told his sister earlier that he didn't want to work with her because she only thinks about herself. And now he tells Walter, I will work with you, but the only way I'm gonna work with you, Dad, is if you get rid of Claudia. Because if Claudia is around, he doesn't feel like he can effectively work, and he always feels like she's gonna get in the way. Now, Walter has already told Claudia that she's not gonna be able to take over because she's a female in season 1. And it's still that same thing because he's really trying to get the Flynn family back in that power position. Just like his little brother Jenard, Diamond has him a love interest, and she's an officer. And when she comes into the prison, yeah, I said at the prison, the barbershop, because he can't go nowhere because his PO officer's popping up, she arrests him, take him back to the spot. They do what they do. Now, it turns out she's a little bit of a cokehead. Now, Diamond doesn't do drugs, and he gets a text from Tommy, and he's telling her he's still gonna be him, but he can't stick around here because tomorrow they got to pick up 290 at 2 p.m. The first part of this plan, 290 at 2 p.m., is take out 2 SERB members. Now they sneak up on them. They trying to smoke a cigarette. Well, Tommy canceled that cigarette break. Diamond got a body too. Ping, ping. 2 bodies down. 2 SERBs, that is. Now the plan that Tommy put together, the 290 at 2 p.m. was the drop that the cartel was going to have. So they killed the 2 SERB members, brought them with them, and when the truck pulled up, they ambushed them. They stole all the product, and then they put the 2 SERB bodies down on the ground to make it seem like they pulled up. Now this gentleman here, he tried to shoot at Tommy, clip is empty, and Diamond runs him over with a truck. So there's a lot of bodies dropping this episode, but Tommy and Diamond, CBI, they up because they just stole the work from the cartel. There's a lot going on, and what we noticed is Shanti's really holding it down for Jenard. So Jenard, he paid Miriam that money, and she knows that he's a little short on his funds. She gives Jenard more money and tells him it's a loan because she's betting all on him. She's putting all her money on Jenard to be successful. Now she also gives him a warning that he can't trust his crew because they don't trust him, specifically Little K. Remember, he was the one that was trying to get at Tommy. So Shanti, she has his back, and she's gonna hold down Jenard. This is power, and anything can happen at any moment. Tommy just got done talking to Diamond, telling him about the war. We gonna sit back and then we'll just insert ourselves and go to the top. Well, as he drives off, a car pulls up next to him and they begin to spray. I'm talking about extended clip, and it's Little K, part of treason. He shoots Tommy's car up. Tommy gets up out of there, and fortunately for us, Tommy survived this potential drive-by. The only problem is Tommy didn't get hit, and a little girl, an innocent girl, got hit by a stray bullet, and she died. And DeFranco was the one on the scene to do some investigating. It's about to get real. There you go, the recap for episode 2 of Book 4 Force. Let me know what you think about this episode. I definitely gave it an 8. It's worth watching, and they definitely did a 180 from season 1. Let me know what you guys think about the cartel being robbed by Tommy. Is this going to be a good move or a bad move? And is Tommy going to be able to expand like he really wants to in the city of Chicago and become that man? Let me know what you think. I'm Mo.J. Make sure you tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Oh man, we got a good after show discussion that we're going to do live. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm on that road to 50,000 subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you don't see this video at 100 likes, hit that like button. Thanks for watching. I'm out.